Your brain is exhausted. You wake up tired, struggle to focus, and every task feels harder than it should. The problem? Your brain is running outdated software, overloaded with distractions, bad habits, and endless mental clutter. But what if you could hit the reset button? What if you could wipe away the brain fog, rewire your focus, and get back into deep, effortless productivity? In the next few minutes, you'll learn how to reset your brain, not just temporarily, but in a way that lasts. Chapter 1. The Mental Clutter Problem. Right now, your brain is like a cluttered desk. Emails, notifications, worries, unfinished tasks. Everything piles up, stealing your focus and energy. But here's the truth. Your brain isn't designed to store information. It's designed to process it. When you overload it with too much input, your working memory collapses. You feel scattered, distracted, and unable to think clearly. So the first step to resetting your brain? A mental declutter. The simplest way to do this is the brain dump method. Grab a piece of paper or open a blank document and write down everything on your mind. Unfinished tasks, random thoughts, things you need to remember. Just get it out. Your brain isn't meant to be a hard drive. It's a processor. When you externalize your thoughts, your brain stops holding on to them like a to-do list. Instead, it frees up space for actual thinking. Once your thoughts are out in front of you, clarity comes naturally. Decisions become easier, and that overwhelming mental load, it disappears. But even with a clear mind, there's another problem. Your brain is addicted to instant rewards. Chapter 2. The Dopamine Detox. Every time you scroll on your phone, check notifications, or jump between tasks, your brain releases dopamine, the reward chemical. The problem? Modern life has hijacked your dopamine system. Scrolling through social media, switching between apps, checking messages every few minutes, it all gives your brain tiny dopamine hits. And the more it gets used to these quick rewards, the harder it becomes to focus on deep, meaningful work. The fix? A dopamine reset. For 24 hours, cut out distractions. No social media, no jumping between tasks, no short-form content or constant notifications. Instead, replace it with deep focus activities. Reading, writing, walking without your phone, thinking without interruptions. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your brain will search for quick dopamine hits. But after a few hours, something changes. Your focus sharpens. Your mind stops craving distractions. This is where real productivity starts. Your brain is finally clearing up. The mental clutter is gone. The distractions are under control. But now comes the real challenge. How do you rewire your focus so productivity isn't a struggle, but something effortless? Most people think focus is about willpower. They try to force themselves to concentrate. But focus isn't about pushing harder. It's about removing friction. Chapter 3. The Attention Reset. Right now, your focus is like a leaky bucket. You try to pour energy into it, but distractions poke holes everywhere. Every time you switch tasks, your brain loses momentum. This is called attention residue, the mental friction that makes it harder to focus after every interruption. And it's why deep work feels so difficult. So how do you fix this? First, control your environment. Most distractions aren't willpower problems, they're design problems. Your phone shouldn't be within arm's reach while working. Tabs you don't need, close them. If a website keeps pulling your attention, block it. When distractions are physically removed, you don't have to fight them. They just don't exist. But environment isn't everything. You also need to train your focus like a muscle. Right now, your brain is used to shallow work. Quick tasks, instant feedback, low-effort thinking. To rewire it for deep focus, you need to start small. Set a 10-minute timer and work on one thing. Just one. No switching, no checking. Once 10 minutes feels easy, push to 20, then 30. Your ability to focus isn't fixed. It's built, one session at a time. And here's the key. Focus should feel effortless, not forced. That's why the next step is crucial. Chapter 4. The Energy Reset. Most people think productivity is about time management, but that's wrong. It's about energy management, because time is useless if you're exhausted. Ever notice how some hours feel powerful, but others feel sluggish? That's because your brain operates in energy cycles, not a constant stream. The key is working with your energy, not against it. Your brain's peak focus time happens in 90-minute cycles. That means pushing through for hours straight is actually making you less productive. Instead, Work intensely for 90 minutes. Then take a real break. No screens, no mindless scrolling. A walk, stretching, closing your eyes for 5 minutes. This resets your brain, so your next work session is just as strong. But energy isn't just about breaks. It's about how you fuel your brain. Skipping meals, relying on caffeine, sleeping 5 hours a night, these are all focus killers. Your brain isn't a machine. It needs rest, movement, and real food to function at its peak. You can have the best productivity system in the world, but if your brain is running on low energy, it won't matter. Now that your focus and energy are reset, there's one final step, the long-term reset that makes productivity effortless. You've cleared the mental clutter. You've reset your focus. You've optimized your energy. But here's the problem. Resets don't last unless you build the right habits. Without the right systems in place, you'll eventually fall back into distractions, overwhelm, and low productivity. That's why the final step isn't just about resetting. It's about making this your new normal. Chapter 5. The Habit Reset. Most people fail at productivity because they rely on motivation. Motivation feels great, but it's unreliable. Some days it's there, other days it's gone. But systems, they work whether you feel like it or not. So instead of trying to be productive, you need to design productivity into your life. The easiest way to do this? Anchor your most important habits to things you already do. Want to start every day with deep work? Attach it to your morning coffee. Before the first sip, you open your laptop and begin. Struggling to take breaks? Use something automatic, like meals. After you eat, step outside for 5 minutes before returning to work. Habits stick when they're tied to something predictable. And here's a trick to make them even stronger. Track them. Not with complicated apps. Not with overwhelming to-do lists. Just a simple tally. Did you do deep work today? Mark it down. Did you avoid distractions? Mark it down. When you see progress visually, it reinforces the behavior. It turns productivity into something measurable, something you don't want to break. But there's one final piece to this puzzle. Chapter 6. The Identity Reset. Your habits follow your identity. If you see yourself as someone who struggles to focus, you'll keep struggling. If you believe, I'm just not productive, your brain will find ways to prove it. That's why the most powerful reset isn't mental, physical, or even habitual. It's identity-based. The fastest way to shift your identity? Act like the person you want to become. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. A productive person doesn't overthink starting. They just begin. A focused person doesn't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. A high-energy person doesn't burn out. They manage their fuel. Every time you make a small choice that aligns with your new identity, you reinforce it. And once you shift your identity, productivity stops being something you chase. It becomes who you are.